Welcome back to Egocentric, everybody, and we have to fire our head coach. Yes, I said it. He is a bum. He's a bum. And we just lost the 2 seed. The decision that Nick Sirianni decided to make, which was sitting the starters in last Sunday's game against the Commodores, which, like I just told you, costed us the 2 seed. What is the big deal about the 2 seed, you ask me, Dion Jr.? I'll tell you. The big deal about the 2 seed is that the Eagles will now not have 2 playoff home games. We will probably most likely have to go on the road in the playoffs with 1 home game to start, which we now know we will be starting that game against the 49ers. And then the rest, like I said, will probably be on the road. We are here at Egocentric to talk about it all because I'm about to, as Skip Bayless say, unleash on our head coach because he is an idiot. He makes idiotic decisions, and I'm kind of at the point to where, this team has played so bad and the coaching and the decisions throughout this whole season has been so bad that it's just brought out everything, like all of the truthfulness in me, to the point where I'm ready to say get rid of him, and I'm tired of taking up for him. We don't win because of Sirianni. We win because of the talent on our team. I won't say in spite of Sirianni because that means we're going out on the field and basically saying like, screw you, we're going to do it our way. And when I hear in spite of, that's the way I think of it. I don't think of it in a way as in, he does something for the team. But as far as the winning part goes, I don't think he's a big contributor to that. But anyway, we're going to get into all of that here on Egocentric. So let me stop yapping and let's get right into it. Egocentric, let's go.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
He's at the 20.
They should stop this one.
What you got? Domination, snot bubbles.
He throws, complete, touchdown. They've got him again. They've got him again. Sack Crumpler, what a throw, what a hit, what a catch.
Defense is just way too much for the count.
It's caught by Alshon Jeffrey for a touchdown. He pushes, touchdown. Jalen Hunt, touchdown. A.J. Brown, a run. He's going to score. It's a touchdown by Nick Foles. The train is in the end zone. Touchdown. Torrey Smith in for the touchdown as Jeffrey's in. Touchdown. Jalen Hunt.
Sometimes players, coaches, whoever does things throughout a season, no matter how good or great they have been throughout their career or have been in the last couple of years or whatever, do dumb things in the season. They make decisions throughout the season that ultimately probably costed them their job. We can look at many of sports stories to where the coach, the player, whoever made a decision throughout the season, before the season, after the season that costed them their job ultimately. And I do think if you as a person who's getting paid to, who's getting paid in this high position to put the team that you are paid to coach, manage, whatever for, I do believe that if you do anything that jeopardizes that team in any way, in any season, no matter how good or great you have or are, you should be released of your duties. Now, this doesn't go for everyone because it doesn't happen for everyone. We see head coaches all the time make stupid decisions and they still get the, what do you call it? They get the pat on the back. They still get, whatever. The organization says, we don't care. We're not moving on from them. We're riding with them. And we see it all the time in sports. But sometimes there are things that we call egregious. And maybe at the time you might not even look at it as like something huge because I don't even see anybody making a big deal about this, to be honest. I see people like, oh, well, on to the next. But I also know how my fellow Eagles fans are. And I'm going to jump on this before anybody does. So if you're watching Egocentric, don't say you heard it from anyone else because no one else is making a big deal about it. Not to the extent that I'm going to make about it. Oh, yeah. The 2 seed probably costed us another Super Bowl in which we don't have. That 2 seed was Philly's way out of this season in order to say, hey, you guys, we know you've been getting the crap beat out of you all year. Players have been dog crap. Coaching has been dog crap. The run blocking and run game all in all has been just horrible. So here's some advantage for your team. As a head coach, you should have said that. But anyway, here's some advantage to you guys. Get 2 home games because we are the first Super Bowl team to win the Super Bowl, to come out of the Super Bowl with a victory and not have back-to-back back-to-back home games in the next season. You know, the NFL has it out for the Eagles, but that's another story for another episode. Right now, we're going to talk about how idiotic our head coach is. But anyway, that is an advantage for you, right? You need those 2 home games because all year, like I just told you, you are the historic team that doesn't have any back-to-back home games. You're on the road, you're at home. You're at home, you're on the road. You're on the road, you're at home. That was the pattern for Philly this year. Some games, we were on the road 2 times. You know, we were in this city one day, and then we were in the next city the next day. We were just road warriors this year. And honestly, the fact that Philly has won 11 games and only lost 5 with the starters is kind of impressive, but you could do much better, and we know that. Right? You should be around really like 13, 14, and 3, to be honest with you, because you pooped away like 2 or 3 games. We're not going to get into that. But anyways, the 2 seed is now gone. And it's not gone because of the starters didn't play well enough. Jalen didn't have a good game. The defense didn't show up. The run game didn't do what it always doesn't do all year. Kevin Patullo wasn't calling the right calls. AJ didn't catch the ball. Devontae didn't catch the ball. No, none of that. None of the typical things that's been happening all year. What happened? The starters didn't even freaking play. And thanks to incompetent head coach, because I really want to keep this show family friendly, so I'm going to try to hold out on all of the curse words. But he has me so angry. Because the 2 seed is now in the win. And it goes to the team that actually lost last Sunday, who basically said, here, Philly, we don't want it, you get it. But we didn't want it. We said, no, you get it. We don't want that either. Get that. We don't. Anyway, the 2 seed is now gone. And right now, our only option basically is to just win and cross our fingers and hope for good luck moving forward. But the main focus should be winning. And I have to tell you guys, bro, I am so out on Nick Sirianni. You know, the decision not to play the starters in the game in which I just told you last week could have gave Philly some, something this year. You know, some little spark of hope, something, because there hasn't been much. And the only spark of hope that there has been on this Eagles team is the defense. And even last Sunday, Kevin Patullo can't even call plays in a good sequence for the backups. And all of you Tanner McKee, Jalen Hurts, bitch, Jalen Hurts and put Tanner in. I'm on you guys' ass today too. But give me a second. We're still on Nick Sirianni. I am so out on this guy. Right? When you had the opportunity to change play callers or bring in someone to help out this offensive coordinator who obviously can't call plays in Kevin Patullo, you didn't do it. Actually, you went on the podium, and as the Eagles head coach, you told the media, we're not changing anything. You know, the arrogance and the smug of Nick Sirianni sometimes is just so aggravating. And I understand sometimes why the fans say he has a punchable face. Or they hate him as a head coach. I understand it, because it's like, why do that? No one else sat their starters. Even teams who were out of the playoffs still played a good amount of their starters. Some played all of their starters. The Lions beat the Chicago Bears, the perfect scenario that the Birds needed to get the 2 seed, and you still sat the starters. It's not like you ruled them out. So they were still on the field dressed out. You didn't even play them. You didn't give them a snap. Hey, the game's starting to get a little close. The Lions just won. Let's probably try to get the starters in. You didn't give them a sequence, a snap. And I was the one saying, let's get Devontae in, get him his 40-plus yards, get him out of there. He needs his 1,000-yard season. I was one of those guys to say that. But as I sat back and watched it, I said, so you're going to play Devontae. In hindsight, it's 2020. But I thought about it after it was over. And I said, you're going to play Devontae, right? And you're not going to play any of the starters at any point of the game. Not one point of the game, even when you could have brought them in the first half, stomped on the Commanders, and sat them in the second half. Scoreboard watch, Tanner McKee could have finally started to get the rolling. And yeah, but you decide to do the opposite. And now, like I said, I'm so out on this guy. And as I said, as a head coach, because you've said in press conferences before, that this offensive coordinator needs help calling plays. So you didn't bring in any help for him to call plays this year. The play calling has been bad. The play on the field has been bad. And Nick Sirianni, honestly, even after winning a Super Bowl, because we know how Philly is, and I love this about my team, the city that my team sits in, because there is no complacency here. You can win a Super Bowl and we will still get rid of you. Because if you're not complying, if you're not doing what it takes to win games, if you're not going to get in line with what it takes to win these games and get to these Super Bowl rings, then you will be ousted. And I honestly agree. Get the hell on if you're not trying to win games. The whole health thing, I was really trying to be nice about this. But screw that. Because the whole health thing was a dumb excuse. It was stupid. You can get hurt walking down the road. This is football. You play football, you're going to get hurt. That's the game. In the very first playoff game that we have against the 49ers, in the very first snap, knock on wood, Jalen could break his freaking ankle. On the very first play. We seen Aaron Rodgers within, 4 to 7 plays? I can't remember how many plays it was. He breaks his freaking leg. He tears his whatever. And it's over for the season. So at any point, at any time in the game, an injury can happen and it's all over. And yeah, you could say, so that's why we probably don't want to play them in the end of the season. But also I would say that's probably why you want to play them in the end of the season, because it's not just any other game. Last year, because I know there's going to be some idiot that says, well, we sat them down last year. Last year, the 2 seed was already locked up. Everything was locked up. Philly was 14-3. There was no need to play the starters. And honestly, there was a starter that I wanted to play last year, but they still decided to not play. And you see how he looks this year. This is why when you have the opportunity to do something great, you go do it. You don't wait. You don't hold out. You don't be humble, because the next young guy who comes in and has that record, that Eric Dickerson rushing record, and he's already reached the 2,000-yard mark. The only thing he needs to do is get 100 plus more yards. He's going to do it. And it's going to be a movie setting if he has it against his former team. Saquon had it on a platter for him, but that's last year. We won the Super Bowl. It is what it is. This year is why I kind of like, this year is the reason why I kind of say, man, we got to get rid of Nick. If it doesn't work out, then we definitely got to get rid of Nick. But if it does, we still have to bring someone in to start hiring these guys, because Howie gives this guy too much leeway after winning a championship. Not fully understanding, I don't think, that it's not you that's winning these. It's not like you're Andy Reid or Bill Belichick, or you're like, even Mike Vrabel, even though I would never put them in the same room because one has been there and one hasn't. But it's just, you rally the team up well and you speak very highly of your players. Also, you're a good speaker, period. I've heard the tough togetherness, detailed together. I heard it all. Like, it sounds great. We can't be great without the greatness of others. It's all awesome. But it's only awesome when you're winning games handedly with the style points. I don't care what anyone says. The style points matter. So with the style points not being there and the team just sputtering some games, you look incompetent. You can say all these fancy quotes. It's kind of like Mike Tomlin. You can have all these fancy quotes, but if your team isn't doing it, it's like no one wants to hear it. We don't care. And then you get on the podium and don't give us anything to be, to take, okay. And when you do, it's most likely a lie, or you're just saying it to get the media to leave you alone. It's just all so, I hate it. I'm getting sick of Nick. Yeah, I'm really out on Nick already. His name this year for me, I haven't expressed this with you guys. I haven't shared this with you guys, but it hasn't been Nick. When I'm watching the games, I say, there's the bum again. Look at the bum. Here's the bum. And they show his face. He's on the sideline like, I'm like, there's the bum. Look at the bum. There's the bum. He has to earn the name Nick Sirianni to me again, my head coach. Because you, my guy, has been coaching like you're coaching for the opposite team this year. You suck. You can't call plays. And to be honest, you can't help the guy who's calling plays because you can't call plays. It makes the whole offensive play calling just bad. So get someone in there that can either call plays, make sure he has no say-so in it, or just get rid of the guy. Get rid of him. Let's get a competent head coach, and then let's get a competent offensive coordinator. And we could be like every other regular NFL team in the league as far as just having a great offense, having a great defense, and when it all meshes together, you're a freaking dynasty. It's not that hard. But hiring internally, and you're hiring your buddies, and it's not good. Howie has to stop giving this guy so much leeway. If we do or if we don't win the bowl this year, take away the control. Give him power to the locker room. But as far as the hiring, you should have no say-so in that. This guy isn't some Jimmy Johnson type of guy that can hire coaches. This guy sucks at hiring coaches. And we've seen it twice. And the only thing that I can say he hasn't had a hand in, and thank God he hasn't, is the defense. Right, you guys remember that report that said Nick Sirianni was sitting in on some of the defensive meetings and everybody made those jokes like, no, get out of there. Yeah, man, it's horrible, bro. Like I said, man, I once respected Nick Sirianni. Not that I lost any respect for him as a man, but as a coach. You know, as a fan of the game, and I'm watching all of the characters play their roles in this, you know, because it's kind of like an opera show when you watch it. The head coach, that character, I hate him. Right? And this year, if you put it on a scale, I've been hating him more than I've been loving him. Seriously. And, you know, maybe it is a stretch to say I'm out on him. But if he doesn't prove me anything, what do I have to be in on? You've shown me twice within 5 years that if things go crazy, you can't pick it up and put it back on the. If the car starts to gear off the rails a little bit, or starts to, you know, you can't get it back on the road and make sure we maintain a good season. You've shown us twice that you can't do that. And the only time that you can is if the offensive coordinator is this great offensive mind like Shane Steichen or Kellen Moore. But if he's a Brian Johnson or a Kevin Patullo, the whole offense looks sorry. It's sad to know that a team of this caliber can't do the simple things like block. That's regular football, fellas. Run the ball. That's regular football again, fellas. Coach. You get paid millions and millions of dollars to coach these players, and that's like your worst strength. That's like your weak. That's like the weakest part of what you do best. Like if they had to put on a scale, that would be the part that's not as good. Because you, as a head coach, is just incompetent. And you know, when people start to get on Nick and say, what did he do? What does he do? He sucks. I hate him. Get him out of here. And in the years past, I would low-key agree, but I would also say, man, don't do my head coach like that. He plays a role in something, and the fact that he's still here means something. He does something. And now I'm honestly starting to ask myself also, if you can't call plays, what are you doing? If you can't rally the team, because obviously you haven't been doing that. Like in the beginning of the season, we had problems with A.J. Brown, and it didn't seem like you were helping out in any way. I never got any reports that came across my ticker that said Nick Sirianni is in the locker room with A.J. and they're talking it out, or like, no. Like, what are you doing that's benefiting the team? You sat our starters and we lost the 2 seed. So now at this point, you're actually making calls for the team that's not helping the team. And I could care less about these reports about the team doesn't care. They're just focused on the first round in the playoffs. And like I said, I know my Philly fan base. We're very hindsight is 2020 type of fan base. At the time, we might not care. But the minute it happens and we have the opportunity to look back at it and see where things went wrong, we're going to harp on the one thing that went wrong. And this is going to be it right here, I bet. I'm telling you. I'm telling you now. Everybody's going to bring up the fact that Nick didn't Nick didn't start the starters, and it's only if we win the first game. Now, if we lose the first game, then hey. But if we win that first game and we don't do what we want to do, everybody's going to blame it on the fact that Nick didn't start the starters and we didn't have home field advantage and the guys had to go on the road and all this other stuff when you could have just gave your team some advantage. You gave them none. And that's why I say, man, like, after that decision, Jesus, that is a fireable decision. And for that, like, for the rest of this season, until Nick proves me otherwise, I'm out on Nick. I'm so out on Nick Sirianni. Like, I hate to come on my show every time and just be so negative towards this team and give you all of the reasons why you probably shouldn't even be rooting for these guys right now. But we're going to root for them, and we're going to have the hope that we need to have. We're going to be all of that, the best Eagles fans that we can be. It's just, like I keep saying, man. And then when you think about it, it's like I also said already, the team has had a rough season. The 18 weeks went by so fast, it was like, Jesus. Right? The team got slapped around, beat up, hurt, injured, surgeries everywhere, and we're still 11-6. 11-5 for the starters. But we're still 11-6, and we won 11 games, and we're not limping into the playoffs, but we're definitely walking into the playoffs with a black eye offensively. The defense is like the security guard that's, he's been with us, but it's been a hard fight. So, man, like, that's a big part of why we're here today and a lot of the things that I wanted to jump into, because this head coach, he just does it to me sometimes, man. And I know he does it to you too. So that's why you're probably watching, because of what the caption or what the caption on the video says. I also wanted to get on here and jump into you guys and talk about with you guys is the coaching situation in Philly moving forward in the future, because we kind of know at this point Kevin Patullo is out of there, whether we win or not. But I also have been seeing a lot of AI pictures of Stefanski in some Eagles gear. Kevin Stefanski, former Browns head coach, who they just fired. I've seen that and it made me think. Now, we can say what we want to say about Stefanski as far as the whole Shedeur Sanders and scenario that happened in Cleveland and how that all unfolded. That was there. He's moving on to another team. I actually think because he did so well with the Browns, who can coach the Browns to anything winning? I don't know. Hopefully someone can, but we're not a Browns channel. What I'm trying to say is Kevin Stefanski is such a good coach, and if he isn't a good head coach, he's a good offensive coordinator. Good enough to bring the Birds some identity offensively. And I don't know if he comes to Philly and let's just say he does have a Kellen Moore mirror what Kellen Moore does if he still stays in Philly. But I kind of think that he does. He doesn't strike me as one of those guys looking for the next bag. Kind of like one of those coaches that just want to win. And, he is a little aloof sometimes. I don't really agree with all of his press conferences as far as, like I said, the scenario that happened with the Browns. So, some of those things I do look at with like a skewed vision of yeah. But, knowing Philadelphia and how Howie runs Philly and how Jeffrey Lurie runs it, most guys that come in here that probably were rowdy in their past, other than T.O., come here and kind of smooth it. If they had a rowdy career or whatever, they're bringing baggage or whatever, it kind of settles in Philly. That's where you can come and just perform, play good, and keep the noise down. And I think Kevin Stefanski will be able to do that. Stefanski is actually one of the better offensive minds in the NFL as far as free market, who's on the market, and free agent head coaches if you want to look at it, just because, we're going to be out with offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo, and I would love to have Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator, Kevin Stefanski as offensive coordinator. And like I just told you before, I'm out on Nick, so we can get a pig in a skirt to coach the damn Eagles, and we'll win. to be honest. But no, like seriously, Kevin Stefanski is really, really, really a really, really, really good coach, and I would not mind seeing him in some Eagles gear. I hope Philadelphia actually explores that option. I know some of you guys wanted John Harbaugh, seeing as though the Ravens just got rid of their head coach, John Harbaugh, who I just mentioned. And I don't know. I really want a offensive genius like Kevin Stefanski, someone who knows the X's and O's, who can work with the quarterback, who's good with QBs. We know as far as QBs, he's actually had a lot of success when you think about it. Like, look at it. Not much success with Deshaun Watson. We know that whole situation. Not going to get into that. But the success with Joe Flacco, right? And even with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I mean, Dorian Thompson-Robinson probably had his best numbers in his career in Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken. I probably don't take that as a fact. Probably fact check me on that, but I have to go look. But Dorian Thompson-Robinson looked very good in Cleveland under Stefanski. He won Coach of the Year. Didn't win a lot of games, but as I've said, who can win in Cleveland? That is a horrible franchise. This city is a sports city, a sports town, but I don't understand how they come out there, that dog pound, and play for anything. The Canton thing with whatever. Anyway, they are a good team, and it is a better team these days. So, Kevin Stefanski did what he could do over there, and like I said, he didn't do bad. So, I wouldn't mind seeing Kevin Stefanski in the Eagles uniform, with an Eagles hat and headset. That probably would be, up the alley of what I'm trying to look for. I was hoping that, one of these other teams get rid of their head coach, like a Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, go from head coach to offensive coordinator. I know it's a stretch, it's a huge imagination, but can you imagine the quarterback whisperer, the guy who has the nickname quarterback whisperer? I think he has like top 5 in the NFC in wins. The guy is great. Kevin O'Connell, that's why I would want to see with Jalen. And I kind of think he'll be similar to Kellen Moore. Be able to put a balance in between what Jalen can do and what he wants Jalen to do. And, the run game and the pass game, that balance would be so great. I could see Kevin O'Connell in Eagles headset also. But, there's not much to get into today. We're going to jump right into the playoff matchup tomorrow. The Eagles do have the 49ers, whose defense is very, very bad. And if we can take advantage, I'm going to be bringing out that belt tomorrow. Or next Sunday, I'm sorry. And we're going to talk about that. But up until then, we're going to speak about what the 49ers are bringing to Philly and what Philly can do to actually beat them. I honestly think, first time in a long time on this channel that I'm saying this, that we can actually dominate the 49ers. And not just win. I think we could dominate them if the first half offense plays like the first half offense throughout the entire game. But that's only to be seen. So anyway, you know how it goes, guys. You know the routine as it always goes. We are here. I'll be here hanging out, waiting on you guys for the next episode of Eagles Centric. And like I said, you know the routine. We're gonna like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever. Show your contribution, and it's always appreciated. The Eagles jersey giveaway, still in effect. The easy. The Eagles ticket giveaway, and I said easy because that is how it is to get in. It's very easy to get the ticket or the jersey. All you have to do is like, comment, subscribe, and show your contribution. So with that being said, like I always say, be blessed. Go Birds.
They ain't talking about nothing. Hey, that's my bitch. Hey, that's my bitch. Hey, with all that fake shit. Hey, ain't the one to play with. Hey, pull off in a lamb, double pocket all that tams. Mister, get off on your mans. If he hate you disrespect, you better follow up with hands. Losses to the neck, but now I'm trophied up, I'm saying like bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, damn. The type of shit I'm on, you wouldn't understand. The type of skits I'm on, you wouldn't understand. Big dog business, I would not hold your hand. Like bitch business, I cannot be your man.